A couple days ago, I got accepted into my first vendor pop-up. I have no idea what I'm doing. Yep, that's me. 2 years ago, actually, when my short hair was rockin' and this was the biggest thing in my life. For anybody who doesn't know me on this channel, hello, my name is Delaney. This is ɪɪభtunes. This is a YouTube channel where I post art and stuff. My dream career path is animation, but currently I have found myself on the route of caricatures. This was my first time popping up as a solo caricature artist at a vendor market. Fast forward 2 years later, I got to do this market again, and I decided we should totally vlog it and give you guys a before and after. And so that's what this vlog is about. One of the first major differences is that I do actually have a logo now, so I didn't have to go and sit at my desk and make one on the spot when I got that email of the hosts asking for logos. Here it is. And I love it. I'm very proud of her. The other biggest changes in this situation is that I already had everything that I needed. When I first did this vlog, I was making my own signage and just using what I had, and that was the entire motivation of the vlog, was to say, this is what I have on hand right now, and here's how you can do this without having to spend so much extra money on, you know, startup things. But now, instead of having to go and make the signage, I already had the signage, I already had the canopy, I already had a wagon and everything that I needed to get in and out of the event really efficiently. It was really so much easier. The canopy that I had started with for this first event was one that I borrowed from my parents, and upon looking at it in the old vlog, I was actually so gagged. I could not believe how far I had come, even with just the canopy. The fun fact is that this canopy that I was using and borrowing for other events broke during a setup for a completely different market down the road, and I had to go and get one on, thank God it was a, you know, day zero situation. It wasn't the day of the market, but that's how I wound up with my new one. And shout out to my boyfriend for being there when I was helping set up, or I would have had a breakdown. But now I have a booth that looks a lot more professional and a setup that is just a lot more streamlined for me to be able to go and do independently. So I'm gonna stop my pre-recorded yapping and hand it back over to myself from a few weeks ago, going through the whole process. And I'm gonna show y'all how it went the second time around. I'm gonna show you the new setup, show you my side quests from the day, and all that good stuff. But I wanted to give you guys a quick recap of how the first one went 2 years ago, and now with the context we can get into 2025 Inland Empire Strikes Back. So I left early and I'm gonna hang out at the mall and get food because I have like an hour to kill, maybe a little bit more. The park is like down the freeway a little bit further than where I'm at right now, so I might do some doodling in the mall. Maybe a little walk-in. Go to the bathroom. Get some food. And then I'll go set up. If you remember from the old vlog, I did my setup Saturday morning before the event. This time I did not have the luxury of doing that, and I'm actually so glad that I didn't do it anyway, because I would have had to drive in the morning, like super early, that way I could be at the park and unloading by 8. And I am not about that life at the moment. I said, no, I'm gonna go to the Friday setup. That way I have time to just kind of make a little day out of it, get some doodles in, and then go set up my booth. And I have the supplies to be able to leave it overnight and just show up Saturday morning and finish setting up what I couldn't get to on Friday. And it was a much more peaceful process, honestly. We're here. Time to unload some things. So let me break down what's new about the booth and the things I got. First up is a bench instead of having to bring a bunch of chairs. Biggest brain moment of my life. I've got the same weights as I did 2 years ago. We have a new canopy. It is so much easier to put up than a hand-me-down one that takes 2 people. I have the same chair that I did 2 years ago. It's lasting. I might get a new one soon. It's kind of starting to look a little ratchet. The most recent upgrade was a new table. The one that I got originally was from Ross for almost the same price, so I wish I would have just gotten a folding table at first, like from the get-go, because it's a lot easier to pack in my car now. But I had gotten the other one because it's like really lightweight. This table is not extremely heavy, so again, yeah, I wish I kind of would have just gotten the sturdier table in the first place. If you're somebody going back and forth about that, I recommend just getting the sturdy folding table. It's easier to pack and take around. I almost wound up in the exact same spot as last time. I was just on the other side of the aisle. And this is what my new canopy looks like, even with it being like pretty dirty right now. So I could not believe the condition that the other one was in that I showed my face with, but nobody cared. I just needed a tent. That was the end goal. But it is really nice having a all white one that matches with the walls. These are the same walls that I had 2 years ago as well. I had bought those to kind of make the original canopy look a little bit nicer. But I do remember at one point that those walls saved my table from getting blown over because it was pretty breezy the last time I did this event too, so they came in clutch back then, and they're still coming in clutch to this day. This is the same tablecloth from 2 years ago, but new table. I'm also very choosy with which markets I had been taking my grid squares to actually have a table, but by the time I got to this event, I had really kind of figured out a system to where I can have a display on my table and I know how to weigh it down, and I can leave a little bit of space that I would need to put my supplies for drawing. And doing this has really helped me be able to save space because I don't need to bring an extra table, and I can make little cubbies for myself to put my sleeves or whatever else and have a display all at the same time. Alright, so this is what I have done today on Friday. I'm gonna do the rest tomorrow. I've got the table put together kind of almost. Got a couple of banners up, bench is ready, chairs all good, and she's gonna stay here tonight. Good morning. It's too early, but I've got a market to drive to. I got my banner that I forgot yesterday. She's right here. Prices and stuff. I just checked traffic. It's only a 30-minute drive right now. I'm gonna be there so early, but I would have no traffic. I'd save gas. And I'd have time to just kind of vibe in the park, get pictures and stuff. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna go. Got the moneymaker right here. Yo. Here she is, safe and sound. She made it. No casualties. The table's fine. The chair's fine. The banner's fine. I just have a little friend in the back. A big old mosquito eater. So the last time I did this market, I had my table inside against one of the walls, and then I had myself more like out in front so people could see me drawing, which wasn't a bad idea, but now instead I have my banners on the side, and I'll put them on the side that people are able to approach me from. So since I was at the end of a walkway and that people would have to U-turn from, I put them on the left side. That way people would see my prices on the way in. And I kept my table out front, which is something that I started doing a while ago, and then I stopped doing it for some reason. I guess I think I got too lazy to bring the display grids and build those up and whatnot, but I brought it back now because I have my wagon and it's easier to take things around. I also brought these little strips of Halloween cloth that I originally bought for the spooky season and those markets, but I had them with me because I forgot to take them out of my stuff, so I figured why not use them, and I made a little backdrop for it. This is kind of what my space looks like behind the scenes on the other side of the table. So it's a very simple little display and it doesn't take that much to bring, and it's really easy to pack up in my car. The wagon that you're seeing is the best purchase I could have ever made in my whole life when it comes to doing these things. I love my wagon so much. It has been a lifesaver. Can we also just take a second to appreciate how calm I was in this moment? I forgot that, you know, we're on grass and bugs can get on my stuff if I left them down, and I purposely did not want to use my floor tarp. And so, you know, I just took care of business and then put him away and kept all my other stuff off of the grass for the rest of the day. And then at this point, I was all set up and pretty much ready to wait for the market to start. I also have a new setup for the artboard. Last time I started on a French easel, which is a big box, and that thing fell apart after a couple of markets. I don't really recommend it. These are my fancy crayons. Some of them are what they normally look like, and then the big chunky ones are like old pieces that I melted together to make giant fancy crayons. And here is what my table wound up looking like for that weekend. The sticker display was a new thing, and I quite love it because I can just fold it up and stick it in my wagon. Here is the full 2025 booth. She's a lot more organized, she is a lot more clean, and I have really come to love with making my little world in my little 10x10 space at these markets. It's been a blast so far. This is my new cubby situation that I mentioned earlier. Here's my wagon, my best friend, my little baby boy, and this is another cubby. I keep my sleeves, finish a drawing, I put them in a sleeve, hand it off to the person, everybody's happy. And something I also started doing this past year was leaving little scripture cards in my sleeves so that everybody gets to walk away with a little piece of Jesus, because I would not be where I am as an artist today without his love and inspiration. Hi, R2. Overall, both times I've done this market, it's been a really positive experience. All the guests are super kind, and the costumes are awesome, and everybody really does bring the party to this market. The placement for me, I would say, was a little detrimental, being in the back. In full transparency, I did a market the weekend before this where I made about $780, and it was at a venue that had much more open spacing, so nobody was really in the back of anything. In comparison to this market where you have aisleways, and I was in the back of the aisle and I made about 300. However, these were two very different venues, and the one at Inland Empire Strikes Back was a much smaller venue than the one that I did the week before, so that also plays into it, not just the placement of where I was at. Either way, both times I've done this market, I did reach my financial goals, and so that's the main win in my book, so I can't complain too much. At the end of the day, somebody somewhere out there will have to be at the back of the aisle, because that's just how it goes. And we just have to take turns winding up being that vendor in the back. Lastly, as this vlog comes to an end, thank you so much if you are one of those people who stopped by my booth. Not even just at this market, but in general over the past 2 years. I really do appreciate all of you so much for supporting my artwork. It means so much more than you'll ever know when it comes to any artist you meet out there. This year I'm planning on shifting gears a little bit when it comes to 2025 markets. I've got one more in the spring, and then I don't think I'm gonna do any in the summer, if I'm being so for real, because last year I learned that I do not like being a vendor in heat. So summer is not gonna be my thing unless I do maybe once in a blue moon. The best way for you to get a drawing, if you want to get one, is through my commission website, or if you're in the area, I'm going to be mostly trying to book parties, so just food for thought. But again, thank you guys so much for following the journey and whatnot. I appreciate you all. Remember that you are loved and you can draw a stick figure. And I'll see you guys in the next video.